How's it going, everybody? It's Master1994 here, and today we're going to take a look at my Havel build. Now, as always, there is a table of contents in the description below, so if you want to skip any part of the video, go ahead and take a look at that table of contents, and you should find exactly what you want to see. If you're wanting to recreate this build, first off, you're going to have to start off as a warrior or a bandit class. Now, the reason being is basically, if you start off as any other class, by the time you get the necessary points that you need in endurance and strength, you'll have less points to allocate into vitality before you hit level 120. As for the levels, I have 65 endurance, which is the level at which we begin medium rolling with all of this gear, provided we're using the correct ranks. I also have 50 strength, so we can use Havel's Great Shield. All of my other points went directly into vitality to make us as tanky as possible. As this is a cosplay build, we are clearly using the Dragon Tooth, Havel's Great Shield, and all of Havel's armor. We are also using the Ring of Favor and Protection and Havel's Ring. These rings are necessary to medium roll. Even with the whopping 65 endurance, we don't medium roll without these rings. I had a lot of fun with this build. I'd even go as far to say that this is probably one of my favorite builds in all of the Dark Souls series. It's so tanky with the armor and the poise, but we still have the medium roll, and we get a lot of usage from the Great Shield and the Dragon Tooth. Now, our critical hits aren't all that amazing, but the regular R1s and R2s hit like a truck, and there were actually a lot of ways to catch people off guard, and I really feel like I learned a lot playing with this build and making this video. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as we watch these PvP clips. One of the most important things that I learned about this build, mostly this weapon, was the strength of the roll attack. Now, if you perform a reverse roll into a roll attack, it seemed like it was hitting a lot more people. It seemed like it was a lot more difficult for the enemy to read and really see when it was going to connect. And I used it a lot. And as you can see, I especially used it a lot after performing a backstab or a riposte. So they'd land on the ground. As they were coming out of that animation, I would perform the reverse roll into the roll attack, and it was taking out a lot of people. It was such a good combo, and you just couldn't beat it. It was so strong. And if you miss it, you can always combo that with an R1, as I just did there. As I love to do with any build that can parry, I was really enjoying the parry with this build. There are some challenges that come with, having to choose between using your shield or being able to parry. The biggest issue is that it's obvious. I mean, if you get rid of your shield, why would you do that unless you're wanting to get a parry? So, it's more predictable, but also you lose that ability to block the first hit and parry the second, at least against most weapons. That being said, I really utilized the parry a lot with this build, and the fact that we have so much poise that we can take a first swing without ever getting poise broken and then parrying the second is awesome. Which leads me to the amount of poise that we have with this build. It's really what makes this build feel so tanky. I mean, you'll see time and time again in this video where I'm just eating hits, and maybe I'm eating a hit, not getting poise broken, and trading R1s, and usually coming out on top. But a lot of times I'm eating those hits and just strafing around the enemy and going for a backstab because they never poise break me. Another thing I feel like I need to talk about, even though I didn't really use it very much, is the Great Shield Special. So what this does is it buffs you and gives you body deflection against certain weapon swings. So if your enemy's using one of these weapons that can be deflected, it'll deflect their attack when they hit your body. And sometimes you can strafe around them and backstab them in that deflection stun. That being said, I didn't really like this ability very much because I didn't feel like I had very much time to strafe around the enemy and backstab them in this deflection stun. And a lot of times I couldn't pull it off. So I was just unnecessarily taking hits in hopes of getting these backstabs, and I found that if I was just playing without this ability and playing smart without it, I was performing a lot better. The biggest downside with this build, and really with as much poise and defense as you have and as much damage as you can do, the only real downside to this build is that you're going to be getting backstabbed. Your R1 swings are so slow that it's very easy to get backstabbed if you miss a backstab or if you don't time your R1s correctly. And that's kind of why I included this next clip right here. I got lucky enough to have a Havel 1v1, which was awesome. But as you can see, his swings are so slow that it's just a joke. Just going for the backstabs makes the game, man. But all that being said, you have so much defense and poise, and you have so much damage that you can potentially turn the tide of battle. And it's very easy to get backstabbed 2 or 3 times and survive, and then get one good combo and just destroy the enemy. I would consider groups of enemies another downside, but it's not really separate from the backstab downside, because the only reason it's difficult to fight multiple players is that you're slow and they're going to be surrounding you, and it's going to be a lot easier to get backstabbed. Again though, because of all the defense and poise that you have, the build is very forgiving. So it's very easy to figure out the enemy. I mean, even if you get hit and you're taking hits, it takes a lot to kill you. So it's so easy to get one quick combo in and completely wreck the team. Or, like you can see here, barely wreck the enemy. I know I talked a little bit about it already, and I know I talked about it in my last video, but I'm probably going to talk about it in every video. Being able to parry and learning the parry times is essential to good Dark Souls PvP, in my opinion. And the more I'm playing with these builds, especially with this one where it was just the bare fist and I had to time the parries a lot better, I felt like I was getting at least much better at my parries. I don't think I'm a pro by any means, but it definitely made for some good games. I guess the last downside to this build is fighting enemies that are invisible, either by means of hacking or bugs. That being said, with all the defense and poise... No, I'm just kidding, guys, but really, I thought this was a pretty cool clip, and I just got lucky and could see his glowing hand and got that backstab when he was casting, and then pretty good finish. So I just wanted to show you guys that clip. I also don't know if I could make a good video without knocking some people off some edges, right? In all seriousness, I thought these were just some kind of fun clips, and I wanted to include them in the video. All in all, like I said earlier, I learned a ton about this build, and I hope you guys might have learned a thing or two, or at least enjoyed the video. Let me know how you felt about the video in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.